This is Britain's last car. This is the Rover 75. Released in the late 90s under BMW ownership, it received acclaim from buyers, successfully nipping at the heels of the mighty Jaguar.
Rather unfortunately, BMW's chairman at the time chose the unveiling of the 75 to let the world know that Rover was in turmoil. Believing that the marque wasn't going to exist much longer, many shied away from buying the 75. Thankfully, the story of the 75 carries on. Rover was sold in 2000 to become part of the fully British MG Rover Group, and at its new home, sales of the 75 picked up substantially. It went on to become a great British car, and many of them still remain on the roads today.
So how are they holding up today? Surprisingly, they've proven to be rather reliable, thanks in part to some borrowed engines from Honda and BMW.
Today I'm driving the BMW diesel engine, which brought a mix of performance and economy to the 75 range. And if I'm going to be entirely honest, British class and elegance and design being pulled along by some admittedly more reliable German horsepower is no bad thing.
German positivity aside, slave cylinder failure is common, and like most jobs on the BMW engine, it's complex and costly. That is one major downside to plonking a BMW engine in a Rover shell.
A 1.8 K-Series is available, and aside from all the usual K-Series coolant problems, it's not too bad on fuel and it's a fairly smooth drive. Having said that, I've driven the Honda V6, it is phenomenally smooth and it is the perfect pairing for this car. If you can afford to sell one of your children to buy a litre of fuel, then that is the perfect choice for car, not for your children.
Whatever engine you choose, it's going into a large family saloon that's going to surprise you with how well it holds the roads. But what might be just as surprising is the quality of the interior of a Rover from the 90s.
The interior is very unique for its age. It is a little bit earlier than other retro cars like the Mini 1 and Fiat 500. But this interior is done very well. The big, chunky centre console and the big curves of veneer actually look fairly modern and, dare I say, a little bit sporty. Definitely so much better, in my humble opinion, than the slightly Americanised Jaguar S-Type. If you do go for the slightly more classical pre-facelift Rover 75, it does come with bright orange dials on the dashboard. And I tell you, sitting in a leather heated chair in front of those dials makes you feel like a resplendent Victorian gentleman sitting in the fire of your English mansion. Rover's biggest mistake was not selling a lapdog as an optional extra.
But the 75 reached its peak after its facelift. The sleeker front end and more contemporary colours gave a more modern curb appeal and made it a very serious rival to other saloons of the time.
And that's the astonishing thing about the Rover 75 20 years on. It still feels like a place to be. It feels like an occasion when you drive it. And perhaps unlike the 25s and 45s, it still feels very much like it belongs on the roads today. And all of this means sitting in the Rover 75 makes me feel just one thing. And that's sad. Half a century of British motoring decline, years of brands shrinking and disappearing altogether. Rover emerged not only as the successor, but the antidote to British Leyland's literal crumbling legacy. Forging partnerships and standing strong on the world stage, whatever Rover faced, it persevered.
Until 2005, when Rover finally met its match at the hand of a couple of businessmen who gladly sold it down the river for something as common as money. And just like that, Britain's last mark, the mighty Rover, was gone.
If we absolutely had to have one last car, if we had to have one swan song for British mass production motoring, I don't think we could have done any better than the Rover 75.